For those of you who are not familiar with me and the work that I do, I am Oregon's longest surviving full-time fitness consultant. For over 41 years, I've been a part of a national network of medical and fitness leaders looking to improve the effectiveness of exercise programs that talk about the health benefits of exercise. Oftentimes, I find that exercise is associated more with sports and physical appearance than it is with health. But exercise is being called the best medicine in America today, outperforming almost every prescribed medication in the country in terms of its overall impact on our health. Everything from colds and through to cancer is being impacted by exercise. But you'll quickly find out that you can't just pay lip service to the benefits of exercise. You actually have to perform in order to experience them. Now, one of the things that I've learned in 40 years of being involved with physical fitness is how the terminology changes. Now, the human body hasn't changed. We all need the same thing, on a regular basis. We need, food, good food, hopefully. We need rest, certainly. The law enforcement says they have more people dying of falling asleep at the wheel than from drunk driving. And we certainly know that we need exercise. Now, the exercise is something that we promoted highly, and we've been doing it since the 50s, when the Eisenhower administration found that it was becoming increasingly difficult to find young American men who could pass the induction physical in the military. Looking into the public schools, they found that some physiologists had done fitness tests involving the ability of our kids to perform what they call functional movements. Functional movements is the buzzword in physical therapy today. It's talking about everyday things that you have to do. For example, you should be able to stand up and sit down out of that chair 12 times in a row without allowing your hands to help you get up. If you can't do that, you're a candidate for accidental falls. If you're over 60 years of age and you fall and break your hip, the projected life expectancy in some studies is as low as 1 year. Yeah. Functional fitness. Can you do what it takes just to get around? They gave that test to American kids, and everybody thought that was the dumbest idea we ever had, because we think kids are fit just because they're young. They had a 57% failure rate on that test. It was such an appalling showing. Yeah, that's what they said. I can't be, We're Americans, They took the test to Europe to see how their kids would do in comparison, and only 7% failed. In Australia, it was 5%. They could not find a group of kids anywhere on the planet that had anywhere close to a 7% failure rate on that test outside of this country. And that trend continues today. Just last fall, they presented a study where they looked at the cardiovascular fitness, or aerobic fitness, they call it, of the kids in 50 countries around the world. Now, your aerobic fitness is one of the best predictors of death, second only to high blood pressure as a predictor of death in the world. If you're not doing well in your aerobic fitness, then you're going towards some serious problems. They looked at the kids and found that out of 50 countries in the world, our kids rank what? 47th in the world. The trend continues. Now, we're promoting exercise more highly than probably anybody else on the planet. But they some funny things about the people in this country. Like our kids are some of the most confident in the world when they answer questions about their academic abilities, but score some of the worst scores. We've got this positive thinking thing down. The problem, our reality isn't living up to it. Now, when it comes to exercise, one of the key terms that we're using today that we didn't always use is called self-efficacy. Self-efficacy has to do you think you can do it? What is the probability that you can pull this off when we talk about exercise? It's not just about talking about it. It's not just about feeling guilty about it. Guilt burns exactly 0 calories. We gotta get you to move. And if you don't believe it can be done, then we got a problem. And some of you don't believe it's worth it. You don't think all this exercise is a big enough or important enough idea. But it is. And the studies continue to come out and support these ideas. One of the best places to get the information, if you're not convinced, is the Cooper Institute in Dallas. Dr. Cooper, the Cooper Institute, has done more to show the relationship between health and physical fitness than anybody else in the world. You really have to take advantage of the research that they're doing. I met with the Centers for Disease Control, their health and fitness director, to see if I could get them, get some help from them to help me to promote some of my ideas. And they said, well, look, we can't do that. We're a government work agency. You know, we can't help you out, but go to the Cooper Institute. And so I did, and got a chance to spend some time there. It is one of the most fascinating places I think I've ever been. It's not just about the exercise. There's some special things happening in terms of just their way of reaching out and the way they look to help other people. As a Rotarian, you surely appreciate the work that they're doing. But if you want to find some justification for your commitment and concern about exercise, that's the place that you want to go. So today I just want to kind of get you updated about some of the things that I've been doing and some of the things I've been learning. It's been a crazy 2-year period. I spoke at a Rotary Club in Spokane a couple of years ago, and one of the members came up and asked me if I would do a TEDx talk. Now my son got me, looking at TEDx a few years back when they showed me some TED talk about how some physician had taken on the task of putting together some prosthesis, more functional prosthesis for Vietnam veterans who'd come back injured, and nobody had ever done anything to improve the quality of prosthesis. And so I went on. So I've become a fan of that. They got me to do a TEDx talk, and the response was just phenomenal. It was one of I think the greatest experience of my fitness career, because I got to talk about the things that I'm most passionate about. It's not what you do for exercise, it's the why you do it. In other words, the motivation is a whole bunch more important than what you do. I don't really care what you do, but I do care about why you do it, because that will determine how well you're going to overcome the psychological obstacles that you're going to be up against. I got to meet Dr. Mark Angel, who has a dual professorship at Middle Tennessee State University, Murfreesboro, dual professorship in the Department of Psychology and Health and Human Performance. The thing that attracted me about him is he wrote an article conceptualizing a new fitness major he was going to call Applied Exercise Psychology, which would have been what I had majored in school if it had existed when I was in school. But he talked about the problems of physical fitness and looked to justify this whole commitment to exercise also. And what he basically said is, this fitness problem is more about our mental failure than our physical failure. It's more about our head and our attitudes than it is about our bodies. He said you can't just decide to exercise and have it sustain you for the rest of your life. He said your brain's going to fight you. You say, I'm going to start an exercise program, and your brain says, what are you doing? Haven't we been down this road? Look at you. Look at your dogs. If you're in the Oregonian a week ago, you talk about the pets. Our pets are obese. Please, how are we going to turn this thing around? He said, but your brain's going to fight you. You say, I'm going to start an exercise program. The brain says, let's not do this again. Let's do something else. I mean, and it's a difficult thing. He said, but you have to win the psychological battle. One guy said, I swear after college I'd never sweat again. I mean, that's commitment, folks. Another guy said he got in his car, decided to go to a health club. He got down to the intersection, the light turned red. He said, that's a sign, turned around. How do you turn this stuff around? You have to be motivated. So how do you solve the motivation problem? Well, I was giving this talk in Seattle at a university club some years ago, and one of the members came up and said, I'm one of the editors for Prentice Hall Publishing. We're the largest publishing company in America. We have a waiting list of people that want to write books on exercise, but nobody's telling us how to stay motivated. He said, what you told us here today makes more sense than anything I've heard anywhere in the country. We do a book for my company on fitness motivation. I said, absolutely. And that was 30 years ago, and I haven't gotten motivated to do it yet. But what I said was this. The problem with fitness is we don't know what fitness is. And the reason we don't know what fitness is because there's no such thing as generic fitness. Fitness is activity specific. If you don't tell me what you're trying to get fit for, the term has no meaning. So what is the most universal appeal I can make for physical fitness? It's health. Health. Get fit enough at least to be healthy. How fit is that? I said, no problem. I'll go to the experts. I went to the medical school library in Portland to look it up. How fit do you have to be to stay healthy? Surely these people have figured it out. I can find virtually nothing written on this subject. Some information on aerobic exercise by Dr. Cooper, but other than that, there was nothing there. So I went and talked to a physiologist and came up with a proposed fitness test. You see, there are always tests involving components that can make up total fitness, but nobody had ever had packaged it, said, this is the level of fitness we want you to have. So that's exactly what I did. I put together what I contended was a level of fitness sufficient to stay healthy, and for 14 years took my definition around the medical societies and physiology departments, trying to get somebody to disagree with me, and to date have not found one objection to one standard on my test. So I turned it into a business. It's still going today in Portland, where I measure people's fitness level. I have them measure their own fitness level, however you choose to do it, but you need to be measuring the consequences of what you do. You see, the measurement is a thing that identifies what the need is, and focusing on the need is the thing that motivates you to do it and take it seriously. So measure your fitness level. How often? Once a week. I brought along some handouts here, and I'll have around here at the end for anyone who's it's kind of a starter fitness test that you can do in your own home, 5 minutes, once a week. Measure your fitness. You need to be able to do that. If you fail at that, it doesn't matter what you do for exercise. You're going to have a problem. So start out by measuring fitness. Define the level of fitness that you're after. You're looking to get some distance on your drive on the golf course. I mean, what are you looking to do? Go for health. The intrinsic belief that you're doing something to improve your health is the most powerful reason for exercise, and I've looked at everything around the world and cannot find anything that works better and is more sustainable than exercising for health. So define fitness, and hopefully you'll do it for health. Measure your fitness level, and then reward your physical fitness level. Now once you've gotten all those things in place, here's what you can do in terms of what to do for exercise, some things that will really help. By the way, how many of you get all the exercise you need? Okay, all right, couple hands there. Oh, all right, well, some people lie about anything. Now I'm joking, all right? I don't know what you do. Okay, how many of you don't get the exercise you need? And that's the rest of you. Now why not? What's your why? What keeps you from doing it?
Motivation.
Motivation, okay. Anything else? That's it.
Recliner.
Motivation, okay. All right. Yeah.
Excuse.
What's your excuse?
Work, come home too late, now I gotta get dinner going.
Okay. So, most often expressed as, I just don't have time. That's the number one objection. I don't have time, and number two is motivation, or I'm too lazy to do it even when I do have time. So if we can solve those two problems, I'm not saying it's going to be totally resolved, but we can take a big dent out of this lack of exercise thing that we're having here. But you gotta be motivated, and you have to figure out a way to solve the time problem. So let's assume that you're buying into what I'm saying about weekly fitness testing. Oh, here's a test you can do at home. I want you to be flexible enough to sit on the floor with your legs straight and reach your fingertips at least 5 inches past your toes. Women should reach 7 inches past their toes. Whoa. Most men can't touch their toes. Some men haven't seen their toes. But do that test. The other test is a step test. Outside of a laboratory, one of the most often used cardiovascular endurance tests is a step test. Inside a laboratory, it's a treadmill. But you step up and down for 3 minutes on a 16.25-inch box chair or stool, take the pulse for 15 seconds and multiply the beats by 4. The more cardiovascular fit you are, the more the heart rate goes which direction? Down. Thank you, down. Less work to do, the same amount of effort, okay? So your heart rate shouldn't be above 144 beats a minute for men or 156 beats a minute for women. And then keep track of your body, not your body weight. I'm not concerned about your weight. I'm more concerned about your fat level. It's the fat that kills us. It's the fat that affects our performance. Now, I've been carrying a little machine around with me for over 30 years every time I speak. It's called the skin fold caliper. It measures subcutaneous body fat. I pinch the thickness of the skin in the upper back of the thigh for men, upper arm and the waistline for women, and I can fairly accurately tell you how much body fat you have. Women shouldn't carry more than 20%, men no more than 15%. Now, I'll stay around when we're done today and do fat percentages if anybody wants to have this done. It's the quickest way I know to clear the room. Now, if you don't have a caliper, find yourself a tape measure, because if you're losing inches and you're not losing pounds, then you're losing fat. One lady started a 15-mile-a-week jogging program with light weight training, expecting to lose weight. She gained 8 pounds, but dropped 6 dress sizes, because muscle is heavier than fat, takes up less space.
So if you want to get some idea what's happening with your fat level, I found you can do this. For men, take your waistline measurement. If you're dropping body fat, you almost always are dropping the waistline. For women, take your hip measurement. If you're dropping body fat, you almost always are dropping the hip measurement. So take those measurements, write it down, and then make an appointment every 7 days to measure those areas. And it's a fascinating experience for you to find out some of the things that affect it. Like cut the sugar. One of the quickest ways to drop your body fat is to cut the sugar. I mean, just incredible. One lady in Memphis, Bristol, Tennessee, heard my talk and emailed me after 2 weeks and said, "Yo, Ogie, this is incredible." I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "I dropped 7 pounds since the Rotary meeting you spoke at." "Really? What'd you do?" She said, "Just what you said do. I cut the sugar." Cut the sugar, okay? But it's a drug. You will go through withdrawal, but cut the sugar. And then keep track of that waistline for men and the hip measurement for women, okay? All right, so those are things that you can do on your own. Now, if you can't do the step test and walk around the block, you know, and then keep track of your time and see if you can do that faster, okay? All right, okay, so then here's what you can do for exercise. Work against resistance. Why? Because you said you have a time problem. It's the #1 stated objection to exercise. Here's the way you solve it. See, the reason you have a time problem is because of something called the overload principle. It's the most important rule in physiology. It says no benefit occurs until you get tired, and the maximum benefit occurs when you work to muscle failure, which means you can't do another repetition because you're so tired. The problem is as you get more fit, what happens to the amount of time you have to spend in order to get tired? Yeah, it gotta go up. It goes up. So if you can do 5 push-ups a day and get tired, after a year of doing as many as you can, everybody today who does 5 will be doing at least 100 1 year from now. And that's where you said, I'll just diet. Well, the quickest way I know to get fat is to go on a diet. Dieting slows down your metabolism and makes you preoccupied with food. Eat for nutrition, never eat for weight loss, and never make any change in the way you eat that you're not willing to make permanent. But work against resistance, and that will keep your workout time down. That's what the athletes do. And as they get more fit, they don't add more time, they add resistance. But we found that 70% of you already have bad backs, and 40% of you have some form of arthritis. And doctors say no lifting, nothing that compresses your spine, tightens your back, or stresses your joints. Which means no sit-ups, no push-ups, no jumping jacks, no weightlifting. Everything I was trained to teach you as a physical educator, you can't do because of your joint problems. And that's why the average personal trainer in this country quits after 6 months of trying to get you to do what they've been trained to teach you to do. How do you solve the problem? In my senior year in North Carolina, I was taking a sports medicine class. And he told us about the best kept secret in fitness. 50 years ago, NASA wanted to put a man on the moon. And they needed a way for the astronauts to do weightlifting in 0 gravity. Now you explain that to me, talk about an oxymoron. It can't happen. But you needed to do it because without that, you had a tremendous loss of calcium in the bones, the cardiovascular system declined, muscle tone declined. They couldn't do the experiments in space because they couldn't keep them fit enough. They didn't have the spaceship, they had those 2-seaters. You couldn't stand up, if you stand up, you float. So they found the physiologists who invented a portable control resistance device that they called an exergene. They put their track teams on that machine because the runners didn't like to do weightlifting, and the weightlifters didn't like to run. But they needed what each other had to offer. They just couldn't figure out how to pull it off. They put their track teams on these little machines, and they won 2 national titles with only 2 scholarship athletes on their team. Track coach was named NCAA Coach of the Year. NASA found out about it, pulled the coach out of coaching, gave him $1 million of our taxes, and put that machine through the greatest scientific research ever done. They said this is one of the greatest things to ever come out of the space program, and this machine can replace a gym full of equipment. They took it to the moon in the Apollo 11 moon landing, the most important space flight this country's ever made. Wall Street Journal did a front page article, department stores promised the inventor great wealth if they would allow him to sell these machines in their stores. And he said, we will never allow this machine to become just another commercial fitness fad. And for 50 years, nobody in this room has been able to walk into a store anywhere in America and find these machines being sold. This guy went around the country hand-picking medical and fitness leaders that he thought were good motivators and trained them to go out and teach the American people how to apply this technology. I drove 300 miles to see my first demonstration by the inventor, and I was so impressed I immediately applied for a job. They had 8,200 medical and fitness leaders applying for only 32 openings. 60% had masters or doctors in exercise physiology or were medical doctors. And he wrote me the most beautiful rejection letter you ever saw. I kept applying, he finally hired me, and I worked my way up to become district directors for Oregon and Washington. I got interested in how to stay motivated to use it. Exercise compliance. I competed in organized athletics every year of my life between the ages of 11 and 23. I spent as much as 24 hours in a day in a conditioning program studying karate in Japan, where I earned a secondary black belt in one of the most physically demanding karate schools in the world. But after 30 days on one of these little machines, I did things I'd never done before. I did 101 push-ups and my heart rate went to only 95 beats a minute. I did 329 steps in 15 minutes and I ran a mile in less than 6 minutes for the first time in my life. I put the Seahawks on a program, I put the Trailblazers on a program. I saw my wife lose an inch off her hips in 6 days. But the most impressive change came when I went to my son on his 3rd birthday. I said, son, you're 3 years old. You've had your fun, it's time to get serious about that. And by the time he was 5, he missed 2 days of exercise. He was already outscoring 8-year boys on fitness tests. He could run a quarter of a mile in less than 2.5 minutes. At 5 years of age, my son had a stronger exercise habit than 90% of the American people, because in my house, we don't talk about exercise the way you do. We don't try to make it fun, we don't invite the friends over, and we don't get new outfits. At my house, exercise a daily health habit like brushing your teeth. The biggest mistake in America is telling you that exercise should be fun. But if it can't be fun, it better be fast. Yeah, it better be fast. So I don't teach people 30-minute workouts anymore. Not because they're not good for you, but because you won't do them 7 days a week, first thing in the morning. And that's the most successful pattern for exercise that we know of. Okay? So, but what I teach is 5 minutes a day. But in my 5-minute workout, I'm finding I can double fitness scores within 6 weeks without compressing the spinal column, which will help you to protect your joints. Now, at this point, I usually do a short demonstration of exercise, but for lack of time, I want to just shut down and give you a chance to ask some questions. And anybody wants to stay around for a few minutes and see what 5 minutes of exercise looks like, I'll show you what I teach